This is the podcast overview for week 12, where we will be covering chapter 7, Cognition, Thinking, Intelligence, and Language. So here's your to-do list for this week. You're going to be reading chapter 7, as well as Hawk number 4.2, which is titled Just How Are You Intelligent? So let's go over this week's material. If you want to listen to the podcast overview of these objectives for Chapter 7, you can go ahead and click here, and I outline what Chapter 7 will be covering. These are your lecture slides for the chapter, and I've included a few different videos from the Crash Course series in psychology. This first one is on cognition, specific elements of our cognition and how we think. The second one is on intelligence testing, some different controversy in terms of intelligence, which you will see a little bit of more in the discussion for this week with the Hawk reading, because we'll be looking at multiple intelligence, which is still debatable as to how relevant that is, but also just, how do we measure someone's intelligence and what does that get us? What does that mean? And then lastly, language. We'll be looking at the development of language, not just from human species, but also what we learned from some animal research and looking at the unique aspects of language. Your discussion for this week, you want to integrate both Chapter 7 and the Hawk reading. In the Hawk reading, gets into Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence. So you'll first want to talk about what that is. What is multiple intelligence? What does he mean by that? What kind of individuals did Gardner study? So who were the people that he based his theory off of? And how did he define intelligence? Who did he choose and why did he choose them? Why did he pick the people that he did to study for his theory of multiple intelligence? And then describe the 8 categories of intelligence according to Gardner. I'd like you to give an example of someone famous who fits each category. Come up with your own. Try not to use the ones that are already mentioned in the text. And try not to use ones that other people post about. Okay, oftentimes when I see discussion posts for this specific question, I see everyone using the same people. And then that sometimes gives me a big clue that maybe all we did was read other people's comments before we responded. So try not to let yourself do that. There are so many examples for each of the 8 categories. I mean, tons that you could think of. And obviously there's some very popular ones that stand out, and those are the ones that the text mentions. So just try to come up with your own. And then lastly, what is one important criticism of Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence? Why is it not embraced fully by the academic community? I mean, we definitely give it its due diligence and credit, but some people are not very quick to embrace it as a form of intelligence. And so how do you feel about the criticism? And does it jive with our understanding of how we assess intelligence overall? So based on what you learn from the reading in the main text about how we assess intelligence, does it jive with that? Does it make sense in terms of that? So that's your discussion. And then you have a quiz this week on Chapter 7, Cognition, and that will wrap up this week. Please let me know if you have any questions pertaining to the material.